Hi there, welcome to I Alone Fly Tarot. I'm going to do a tarot card reading for Taurus energy, and we're going to read it from a couple different perspectives because everybody harnesses these energies differently. Life's about learning lessons. Some people have learned a lot of lessons in life. In their Taurus energy, they're more emotionally mature, just, fair, stable, grounded, treat other people the way they like to be treated. And some people haven't learned those lessons. Some people still could be a little bit more caught up in the world, and the world's more important, and things of the world are more important, or status or ego or image is more important, and that's kind of still maybe what drives and motivates them more than love, or thinking that you have to be more just and fair. you know, and some other people are still more shadowy, and they could be very prideful or egotistical or self-centered and self-indulgent, and could be a little full of themselves and think other people, because they might have a certain status or image or social clout or money or attractiveness, for some reason they think that it should be all more about them. And, so we're going to read it from all those different perspectives. Taurus energy for the rest of us can just, if you're not like a Taurus sun sign or have a lot of significant Taurus placements in your life, we all deal with Taurus energy because it is kind of our belief system about how we view ourselves, how we view others, how we view the world, what we think is like just and fair in relationships. So even if you're not a Taurus sun sign, listen to your intuition about where you might be in the story. Listen to your intuition about other people in your life, regardless of if they're a Taurus sun sign or not, because we all have our own philosophy of life and how we view life and what we think is just and fair. This just might be something that's significant that Taurus energy might be dealing with. And then we all kind of have to deal with it because we all tap in to Taurus energy. At the end, we're going to get some cards out to ask what could be a possible outcome for people, depending on if they harness a more worldly, shadowy Taurus energy or a more high vibrational Taurus energy. Okay. Kind of view this card as the overarching reason for the reading. And the fortune teller card, it's a feminine figure, and the feminine figures can talk about how we think and feel. And we all have our intuition. The thing is, some people use their intuition in a shadowy way. Who do I think I can manipulate? Who do I think is more motivated by these things of the world, or their fear, or their insecurity, or their codependency, that I think I can get to move forward with me in a relationship in my more worldly, shadowy ways of being? We can either use our intuition, our emotions, our sexuality, our resources. We can use them all in a more shadowy way if we want. Other people use theirs operating more from a place of love. I've learned to listen to my intuition. I know I'm more motivated by love and justice and fairness, and I'm listening to my intuition about who are the people in the world who I think are more on that page. So everybody's kind of looking for people. We all like to hang out with people who kind of view life the way we do, and so everybody's trying to, but more shadowy people can want to manipulate a more loving, just, fair person, because then it makes them look like they're a more loving, just, fair person, and it's good for their ego and their image. And Taurus energy can be about our status and our image and stuff like that. So we have to be aware that some people it's kind of reminding me of a high priestess energy, and we can either use our emotional nature manipulatively, use our intuition in a manipulative way, just depending on what our end goals are. So let's go see what's going on. We have courtship. People are in relationships with other people. Why did the courtship card come out? Because of the house card, which normally the house card would remind me of the Four of Wands in tarot. This card, though, does say Taurus, and Aries energy, which is like the Four of Wands card, is about the self, and Taurus energies of our philosophy of life. You could look at the courtship card as what we align with within ourself in our free will. Am I more aligned with, in myself, is my philosophy of life to align with my more loving, hopeful, believing nature, or is my philosophy of life to align with being more about myself and these things of the world. And everybody has free will to align with their more worldly, shadowy energy, nature, or their more inspired, hopeful, believing nature. Then we have fulfillment and the great water. And the reason that came out is because of the stork and the clouds. You know, the fulfillment card and the great water both kind of makes me think of Nine of Cups energy, which is Pisces energy, which is we have a dream. We have a way of living life and viewing life and a way we want to live life that we think would be emotionally fulfilling. And at any given point in our life, depending on kind of like our philosophy of life and our emotional maturity, there's different things that we went and pursued in our life at different times because we thought for sure that was going to make us happy. And some people went and pursued those things and they learned lessons from that life experience and they don't want to live their life like that anymore. Just like I was 15 once. Do I want to keep living like a 15-year-old? No. I was 18. I was 21. I was 25. You know, I've moved on from that stage of life. But there's other people that could be, 35, 45, 55, but they still want to live more like an 18, a 21-year-old, or a 25-year-old, right? And sometimes we can get in relationships with people. The Four of Wands can be about coming together with others. We deal with people all the time in the world, in our own family, in our friendship groups, in our communities, in our organizations that we belong to, church or religious affiliations, neighborhood things, and work. And we're going to meet all kinds of different people that some of them are somewhere on the spectrum, of being a person. High vibe Taurus is you act with character and integrity. That you have learned these lessons in your life, that you do treat other people the way you like to be treated. You are inspired to be more independent of your shadowy nature. I shouldn't be immature or bossy or controlling or egotistical or self-centered. If I find this to be emotionally fulfilling, this job, this friendship, whatever, I should put in probably some work and effort. If there's some areas where I need to grow and mature myself, because the stork is about kind of giving birth to something new. And the clouds that kind of reminds me of Pisces energy too. Gemini energy can talk about our dualistic nature. Some people are more immature and bossy and controlling, but they know that in certain foundations that they're in, even though they would like to be more self-indulgent, they know that if they want to stay, say, in that job, they kind of gotta temper, in a way. The cloud would be like covering up kind of more the truth of who they are. And they kind of better give birth to kind of tempering that they are more immature or bossy or controlling if they're in a relationship or a job where other people are more inspired or are more emotionally mature, who are more inspired in their Aries energy and their Gemini energy by truth and love and justice and fairness. We all kind of temper ourselves when we're around certain people. If we know, if we were to act on how we really want to act, that those people maybe would turn their back to us and not want to work with us anymore because they're confused. The clouds can talk about confusion. Your truth seems different than our truth. If other people, high vibe Pisces, high vibe Aries, high vibe Gemini, is being inspired to be more independent of your immature, shadowy nature, to work together with people cooperatively in truth and love. And so, some people who know they are a little bit more shadowy, a little more self-indulgent, a little bit more about themselves, they know they kind of have to confuse people about the truth of who they are, or those people will move on from them. And the same things can happen in relationships. People can get in relationships with people. Again, more shadowy people can try to get in relationships with people who are more stable, grounded, mature, nurturing, and loving. because they want to kind of create the illusion that that's who they are too, that they've given birth to something new by getting in a relationship with someone who's like that. But that, in the clouds card, can talk about just trying to create an illusion. They're trying to give birth to an illusion. Look, I'm more independent. Look, I've grown up. Look, I've healed. Look, I'm not the same person I was before. If I was the same person I was before, I wouldn't be able to have this job or be in this friendship, or these people wouldn't date me. Yeah, because everybody can wear a false mask. Some people are really good at wearing a false mask. They present themselves as a more independent, loving, stable, inspired by truth and justice than they really are. they just go, when other people turn their back on them, kind of see through the illusion, become independent of them, and move on with their life. Well, instead of these people kind of working through their own illusions they had about relationships, they just go try to manipulate someone else, right? So everybody's trying to move forward. High vibe people and Pisces energy can also be about listening to your intuition. High vibe people are listening to their intuition. Who are the people who are being authentic and not trying to want to be in a relationship with me for ulterior purposes? And who is trying to confuse me about the truth? Who might want me to be in a relationship with them, or they want to be in a relationship with me, but I don't think they're being authentic or honest. High vibe people are listening to their intuition. And like I say, the shadowy people are kind of listening to their intuition about people who they might think don't know the truth about them. And can I manipulate them? Can I get this person to move forward with me in a relationship if they are someone who's more about indulging themselves, and their truth is they're more motivated by these things of the world or ego or image or indulgence? Perfect. I don't even have to try to manipulate you. You're on the same page as me. Let's keep moving forward with this. But sometimes, like I say, people who are more worldly or shadowy try to manipulate more high vibe people in their life. So the high vibe people are listening to their intuition about who they should be moving forward with, who they shouldn't. If there's people in their life who they have already kind of been illuminated to the truth, they were inspired to listen to truth and love and intuition to guide them, and all of those things told them, do not keep moving forward with those people. They've already kind of moved on from those people. And then we have great fortune. You know, our intuition was given to us as a gift to help us navigate in this world, because we live in a world of duality, kind of shadowy energy at the big picture, kind of represented by the devil. We all, as human beings, have our more shadowy nature, and then loving, more giving birth to new things, and hope and faith and belief and love at the big picture represented by God. And everybody has the free will to align with either one of those in whichever way they want to. And those energies battle against each other in the world. And high vibe people have learned those lessons in life. No longer in denial of the truth. And also have learned that if I want to have a stable, grounded, long-term foundation within myself and in my life, and the reason the Great Fortune card came out is because of the family room, which can mean behind closed doors. It does start within myself. I have to learn to align with my more hopeful, believing, loving nature. I need to be inspired to love myself in my Gemini energy, to give birth to choosing to align with my more hopeful, believing, loving nature. Instead of my more, I can let my more immature, selfish, greedy, prideful, defensive, codependent, blame everyone else for my problems nature if I want. Or I can choose to love myself. And those people are the people who are very abundant within themselves. When we make that, when we see that truth and we learn these lessons in life. Because for a long time, we can be more inspired by the world, looking outside of ourselves for the answer, like, I need to find someone else to love me, or I don't have to learn to love me. I'll go indulge in all these things of the world. I'm sure that'll make me happy. And we're kind of not seeing the truth. We're still kind of more inspired by the illusion and caught up in the illusion, and we haven't seen the truth. And I look at the Great Fortune card as Virgo energy. When we have learned these lessons in life, and when we've healed and grown and matured ourselves, and we've done this work within ourselves, we're no longer as caught up in the illusion. Our fear and our insecurity and our lust and our greed and our immature, indulgent nature kind of isn't running our life as much, because we did go pursue those things and we ended up confused. We thought it was going to bring like great abundance into our life. And in a lot of ways, some things can, but we can still feel within ourselves confused, because true abundance comes from kind of being your own best mother, father, coach voice in your own head. I need to learn to love me. I need to learn to offer myself that cup of love to work through my emotional confusion and things of the past, so that I can let go of the past, because we'll all keep repeating old patterns until we've kind of high vibe Virgo and high vibe Pisces is about helping us transition away from an old way of living life and viewing life and these certain stages of life that we go through, to learn the lessons that we are meant to learn and grow and heal and mature ourselves, so that, the truth sets us free, and that we learn to love ourselves, believe in ourselves, be inspired to free ourselves from things that manipulate us. And it starts within ourselves. It isn't about trying to change other people or get other people to love us or whatever. I'm going to do the work within myself to get balance within myself. I have these things of the world that I want, but I'm not willing to sacrifice my truth or my integrity or love for those things. It's like, I live in the world. Yes, I want stability and security, and I'd like friendships and jobs and relationships, but it equally has to be just and fair and truthful and authentic and act with character and integrity. And if I've already been in relationships with people who want me to indulge in an illusion with them and get more caught up in the world, but behind closed doors, my intuition is telling me that I should leave, in the disconnection card, because it's not really based on truth and love. It's more out of the fear or the insecurity or the pride or the ego. And I've already maybe done that or indulged in these things that I thought were going to make me happy. Then we have the letter card, which is also Gemini energy, air sign energy of the mind, but about what our truth is and our love and what we want to manifest. And if we keep listening to our intuition, we're drawn and attracted to certain people because in a lot of ways we could have similar goals, we could have similar things we enjoy doing, we have certain ways of living our life that, we kind of think, oh my gosh, this is like a dream come true. But then as we go more forward in a relationship, it's trying to get more clear about what our truth is and what their truth is, and if we really are on the same page, and if we're both inspired in high vibe Virgo energy to work through some of these things that manipulate us, and we're both inspired to work through those things to free ourselves and listen to love and intuition to guide us, and we keep moving forward in life, kind of shedding old layers of ourselves as we go. And again, you can have people who were in your life when you were young, We were 15, we hung out, we lived life like this. Eventually we all kind of grew up, faced some of our fears. We listened to our intuition. We shed an old way of living life. We became like 18-year-olds. Then we moved forward being like 18-year-olds. And then we got to where we were 21 and we had fear about moving forward in life that way. But we all did this work within ourselves to kind of detach from that old way of living life that at one time used to inspire us. But we don't want to keep living life like 18-year-olds. We want to kind of be more independent of that. And shadowy kind of Pisces energy can be our fears and stepping into unknown territory. That we're kind of inspired to face those fears, so we can have people that have been in our life a long time, or people who came into our life and then we were in relationship with them for a long time. And we can move forward with people and we can all kind of learn some lessons and we can all work through some issues and shed some layers of ourselves. But for some people part of the drive to do some of those things in our life could have been more for our ego and our image. We didn't want to keep living life like a 15-year-old when everyone else became like a 21-year-old. And I just use those age groups because I think people can really relate to them and the changes we had to go through in our life. But I think we go through that throughout our life. It's just that those are, I think, a good example. But we could have done a lot of those things. Again, it could have been a little bit more about peer pressure and how we wanted people to view us. And we can do a lot of those things in the world and kind of move forward and shed old layers of ourselves. But to get to a point where we're really willing in our Gemini energy to really start to be more inspired to listen to our intuition and be more bold and brave and confident, where there is no one else that we're trying to keep up with in a way, and there's no outside forces telling us to do it, but we just listen to our own intuition. And then with this card being a feminine figure, again, talks about how we think and feel. This is white, so that can be like kind of giving birth to a new you, because shadowy energy can kind of be, this one, it can be our fear and our insecurity in the darkness that can keep us repeating an old pattern because we're kind of afraid of giving birth to something new. And our Virgo energy looks at those things that we keep hidden in the dark and our fears and our insecurities that could keep us kind of stagnant and stuck because there the envelope is unopened. And we'd really have to be kind of more bold and brave and confident within ourselves to maybe step forward in a way, even when there's no one else stepping forward in that way, right? We're past the peer group stage. Now we're all adults. Now we can blend in with all the different adults in the world, and adults are living their life in all these different ways. I can fit in here, I can fit in there, I can fit in there, I can fit in there. Nobody's forcing me really anymore to do anything. I might seem to have a lot of things of the world that other people have in the world. I could look like I'm very stable, I'm very grounded, that I'm independent, I have a job, whatever, I have a certain level of social clout or stability or power, influence or attractiveness, and then a lot of people can just stay right there because they're fearful of stepping outside their comfort zone. And shadowy Taurus can be about making your life more about conforming to the world, not wanting to step out of your comfort zone. What would people say? There might be some people who don't like it. There could be some people who wouldn't come with me. That's not how they view life. They're maybe not. High Vibe Virgo is about really walking the talk. And, we can have all these things of the world and we could have learned a certain amount of lessons and we could look very stable and secure and all these different things in the world, but are we really willing to... High vibe energy is about really living your authentic life and being who you really are in the world and what really drives and motivates you from love. And some people aren't willing to do that because what would people say? Maybe those people wouldn't come with me. Other people are like, you know what? It is unknown territory and I don't know what's in store for me, but I have learned to listen to my intuition. And if my intuition is telling me that the reason I might stay where I'm at is more out of my fear and insecurity, I don't like my fear and insecurity manipulating me, or I might not have been wanting to see the truth that I could have gotten in a certain job, friendship, or relationship. And it could have been good for a while, but we have no guarantee at what time people could start to drive their own life in the ditch and they become more bossy or controlling or more about themselves or more caught up in the world. And seems kind of like we lost sight of being both motivated by more truth and love or continuing to heal and grow and mature ourselves. And I don't like other people who I feel like are trying to maybe manipulate me and use the love that I have for them and that I wanted to bring this dream into reality. And then it's like, oh, well, now that we have this and we've gotten this far, well, I'm done. This is all the further I want to go. It's like, well, when was it decided? And we're working together. And when you're working together with other people, it's to work cooperatively, and it might step you out of your comfort zone, but can we work on this? Are we willing to work through this behind closed doors? But the thing is, some people behind closed doors are a little bit more shadowy than maybe how they present themselves in the world. So other people don't know that they can be more bossy or controlling or indulgent or materialistic or have these illusions about what it means to be in a relationship. By worldly standards, it could look all good. But what's really going on kind of behind the scenes and what is driving and motivating people? And sometimes you move forward in a relationship with someone and it's not till much later in the relationship that you kind of realize that, I don't know, maybe they do use their intuition and their looks and their emotions and their sexuality and all these things kind of in a more manipulative way. And they're hoping that even when people do kind of find out the truth, that people are unwilling to see the truth and they kind of get blinded because of their want for these things of the world, and I want this to work, and we do have maybe the stability or the security, or I'm in a job, or I'm in a relationship, and I kind of don't want to see the truth because then I'd have to take action to stand up for what I believe in and maybe distance myself from some situations. And sometimes that's what shadowy people count on. I'm going to create an illusion that I have the same dream you do. But then as time goes by, I might be willing to grow and heal and mature myself in certain ways. You might be willing to do that too. But when it comes to really maybe just aligning with their more hopeful, believing nature than their more shadowy nature, or their fearful nature, or their controlling nature, or their manipulative nature, or their codependent nature, there could be something that they're not. And that's kind of when some relationships and friendships and jobs end. And we can stay in them, and you might know some people right now that are in a stage of where they keep not wanting to see the truth. They don't want to see how things within them manipulate them, how other people in their life manipulate them, how the world manipulates them. And there's sometimes we just have to wish people peace. We can't make other people be inspired to love themselves, to become more independent from things that manipulate them. We can't make people see the truth if they don't want to see the truth. If people are caught up in things that they make important in their life, things they like to indulge in to make themselves feel better, or more about these things of the world for status and image, you know, they just view life differently. And in their Virgo energy and their Aries energy and their Pisces energy and their Gemini energy, their truth could be that, you know, that's where they're at. What they're driven and motivated by, that they are sure will make them happy, could be things that you've already made your life about. And you've already found out that it was shadowy energy is restrictive, limiting, confining, imprisoning. I could get caught up in an addiction. I could think, or drinking or drugs and think, or food or whatever, being in a relationship, being more codependent. I could think, oh my gosh, that is the answer to my problems. And then I find out how it kind of gets a stranglehold on me. And some of you have already learned those lessons, had to do all this work within yourself, to work through all your fears and insecurities, to free yourself from it, to be more independent from your own shadow nature and other people who try to manipulate you. And some other people, they're still in the process of doing this. And then as you're moving forward, you could be communicating with people, having your friendships, your jobs, your relationships, basically communicating your truth of how you're moving forward. And then it's kind of for those people in your life to decide. Some of those people were loving and encouraging people to encourage you to love and believe in yourself. And you could be that type of person then to other people. But everybody has to make that free will choice within themselves. That's Gemini energy. We all have the free will to restrict ourselves, limit ourselves, make our life more about the world, not want to deal with the truth, make our life more about ourselves, make our life more about these things of the world, or kind of see how those things, again, to a degree we want these certain things of the world, but how much are we willing to give up for those things? Some people are willing to give it all up because for some of them, they never wanted to do love anyway. They never wanted to be more independent. They are more motivated by the world or themselves or indulgence or ego or image, and they have no intention of ever living their life differently. And for some of you, you could have found out that truth, and that's why you disconnected from those people. You realize what drives and motivates you and what your long-term goals are and are different. And then you communicate your truth to other people. And then when you communicate and you're just living your life and other people see how you're living your life, some of those people could think, wow, I'd really like to be that person's friend or be in a relationship with them. Am I more independent? Have I kind of freed myself from those things that manipulate me? Why don't I free myself from those things that manipulate me? Why don't I do this work within myself? And how do I see how my own more worldly, shadowy energy and my fear and all these things and my ego try to manipulate me to stop me from being more independent and more authentic and free of those things, and go out in the world and be inspired by love. I'm going to go be authentically myself in the world. I'm going to treat other people the way I like to be treated. I'm going to treat people with love and respect. And if I meet people in the world who seem to be more on the same page as me, I'm going to listen to my intuition. I'm going to get to know them, to really kind of get to know what drives and motivates them behind the scenes. And if my intuition tells me, no, these people aren't on the same page, maybe we're kind of trying to create an illusion or have ulterior purposes, I'll move on. And if they seem to be that they have seen the same truth and they're not willing to, it's kind of like this thing, the analogy, like you have two dogs in your head and whichever one you feed gets bigger. Our shadow nature is constantly communicating with us. It could say things like, who do you think you are? And you're not good enough and nobody's going to love you. Or You shouldn't trust those people. Those people, it can just be all this negative shit, right? And we can offer truth and love to all of that within ourselves to kind of temper. The seeds are there within us in our dualistic nature, but we don't have to keep emotionally investing in them. We can have fear, we can have insecurity, we can have whatever come up, and high vibe people are inspired to offer love to it, to move through the fear, to keep taking slow, steady steps forward, to keep having hope and faith and belief in their dreams, and their more high vibrational, emotionally loving nature kind of leads their life. Some other people got caught up in their fear and their insecurity, and they didn't listen to their more loving, intuitive nature. And so their more worldly, shadowy nature is kind of running their life. And, they're sure that was the best choice. They might not realize that they might not even want to see the truth of what drives and motivates them. Just like we didn't want to see the truth of what drove and motivated us when we were more younger and more immature, right? And they'll have some lessons to learn, and they'll go through some difficult times with some people who are happy that they're in that energy, because they are too. And when they're ready, when people are ready to move forward in life differently, that's when they're ready. And everybody's on their own journey, and we can't make people see the truth, believe in love, believe in themselves, listen to their intuition if they're not ready. So we keep believing that the divine has a plan for our life. We keep working with the people in our life who are working together with us in this way. As we're moving forward, other people can want to be in relationship with us. We're going to meet new people. As we move forward, people from our past could come towards us, people in our present, people in our future. And with all of those people, we're probably not going to move forward with them until we've invested time, energy, and effort within them to find out the truth of what runs their life in their dualistic nature. Does your more shadowy, defensive, prideful, immature, self-indulgent, bossy, controlling nature run your life, or your more hopeful, believing, loving nature? And when I feel like I know the truth, those are the people I'll keep moving forward with. And the people who don't seem to be in that energy are the people I'll keep moving on from. What's coming up for people who harness some high vibe Taurus energy that they might not see coming up? The Seven of Wands. Why? Because of the Ten of Pentacles and the Queen of Cups. High vibe people are doing this work within themselves. I view the Great Fortune and the Ten of Pentacles as Virgo energy. And Virgo energy, Taurus is fixed sign energy, and it can be hard to transition. We'd all like the things that we've invested in to work out the way we wanted to. But if our intuition is telling us there's something we weren't seeing that was going on within other people, and seeing what kind of really drives and motivates other people, and within ourselves, that could have been a roadblock to us moving forward in life differently. As we offer love and invest in putting in this work and effort to love ourselves and believe in ourselves and stand up for ourselves and not take action more out of fear and insecurity and pride and ego, and we offer love and encouragement to other people in our life, then it's kind of like, this is how I am moving forward. Is this your truth, or is this not your truth? I will offer you love and encouragement and resources to help you move forward with me in this way, but it has to be self-aware, enlightened to the truth. It has to be loving. I want it to be a deep, meaningful relationship, and I want it inspired by love and authenticity. And if that's not your truth, then I wish you peace, and I will be moving on. And some people are just in the process of doing this work. And, you know, we all have to. The Six of Wands is Leo energy, which can be about our ego nature. And we can love people in our family, in our friend group, a job. But if we feel like people aren't working together with us to move a relationship forward in truth and love, you know, it takes both people doing that. And as some people are like, I want to move forward with you in it, but I don't want you to. High vibe Leo and high vibe Virgo is about illuminating the truth, bringing things that were hidden in the dark out into the open, because shedding light and love on those things are the things that free us to be able to move forward in life. And there's some people that aren't communicating with you because there's things they want to keep hidden in the dark. And they could feel like if they were to move forward with you, they would have to be more bold and brave and confident. They would have to be more authentic. They would have to be more insightful or loving. And they might like to be in relationships where they are maybe a little more emotionally shallow and superficial. They're maybe more about the world and ego and image, but they like to be in relationships with people who are loving. So a shadowy person gets to be in a relationship with a loving person, which works out great for them, but the loving person is kind of in a relationship with a more worldly, shadowy person. And eventually the high vibe people stand up for themselves, and it's like, I want to be in relationships with people who harness this energy in a high vibe way. Not shadowy Virgo and Scorpio and Leo, but high vibe Leo, Virgo, Scorpio, and Taurus. If your philosophy of life is to defend kind of having a way of living life that you love, but it could be more about the world and ego and image, and I can understand it because probably for the first 30, 40 years of our life, we're all kind of caught up in those things of the world, and we're driven and motivated wanting these certain things, and we think that'll make us happy. And then it's like, you know, if it's not a more inspired and authentic and loving, love is what makes it all worthwhile. That I'm not going to keep staying in it. Are you willing to move forward with me being more authentic and inspired by love? And some of those people are like, you know, you changed. You know, you used to be into all these things, and now I'm defensive to you because, you know, you're not defending this way of living life. And it's like, I lived my life that way. Now it's like shedding an old way of being more inspired by love, and to listen to my intuition and believe in my dreams, and that there's more to having a job or being in friendships or being in relationships for these certain things. And I can love people, but if they're unwilling to keep growing and healing and maturing themselves and seeing as periodically how things are kind of manipulating them and it's kind of imprisoning them and restricting them, and then because those things imprison and restrict them, then they want me to stay imprisoned and restricted by those same things, but those things don't manipulate and imprison me, but you want me to be imprisoned by those things because you don't want to maybe deal with the truth of it. Well, enjoy that. Keep letting those things imprison you, and I'm going to move on. And I'm standing up for what I believe in. And I would love for you to come with. But if you're not willing to work through some of the things that manipulate you, then we're kind of on different pages about what drives and motivates us and what we find emotionally fulfilling and how independent we are or codependent we are or defensive we are. And I wish you peace, and I'm moving on. And I think as you move forward in that energy, being inspired, moving forward, feeling very stable and grounded and balanced, and being loving and insightful, and not taking action more out of pride and ego and lust and greed and trying to manipulate people or confuse people or something. I think there's other people who are going to want to be in a relationship with you because they've been in a relationship with people like that also. And they are going to stand up and defend you because you are who you say you are in your high vibe Taurus energy. You are authentic. You are inspired by love. You do put in work and effort from love. You try to be self-aware. You do work within yourself to free yourself so you don't act from your more shadowy energy. And you want to be in relationships with other people who are like that. And there's other people like that in the world. And as you keep moving forward, the people in your life who value that will be people who keep standing up and moving forward with you and defending you. And you'll meet more people as you go. And the truth sets us free to give birth to something new. And if we haven't seen the truth, we're going to keep repeating an old pattern because we kind of get stuck in repeating an old pattern until we learn the lesson we were meant to learn from it. So some people are going to repeat an old pattern. So what is coming up for some people who harness a more worldly, shadowy Taurus energy? The Page of Cups. Why? Because of the World card. So the Page of Cups, you know, in tarot, we have the pages, the knights, the kings, the queens, emperor, empress, high priestess, hierophant. Taurus is represented by the Knight of Pentacles, the Page of Pentacles, and the Hierophant. Well, some people emotionally still have a lot of lessons to learn. Some of you have learned some more lessons emotionally in the Queen of Cups. So not a Knight of Cups, which is like Pisces energy, you know. You are ready for more deep, meaningful relationships, and some other people are still kind of immature. Could still have some illusions about what it means to be in relationships. Could be a little bit more about themselves. Want to be in a relationship, but kind of have these illusions about being in relationships. Maybe think they should be more indulged. They could be looking for people who are more codependent. Some people like more imbalanced relationships because then it seems like they're the boss. And they're the parent and the other person is codependent on them like a child. Some of them are more codependent on other people. They have people in their life that they're codependent on. They're codependent on the world to validate their worth and value. And they haven't maybe learned to know their own worth and value and be more independent. And, you know, when people are kind of more shadowy or worldly focused, they can try to create the illusion, like 3 cards of illusion here, that I'm ready to give birth to something new, that I've healed and grown and matured myself. You should want to be in a relationship with me. And they keep thinking that this is a good way to go about things. Some of those people could be experiencing an ending in their life right now is what the world can talk about. Or they try to go get in relationships with other people that had been in a relationship. That relationship hadn't worked out. This person could kind of be confused. They, of course, maybe want to be in friendship and relationship with people. And then this person uses their intuition in a shadowy way to try to create the illusion that you should move forward with me. But they have this immature way of being. They really have a lot of lessons to learn. It is more about them or the world or indulgence or money. But until people figure out that truth about them, they can indulge themselves for quite a while in a relationship. And trying to create this illusion. Look at me and look how I've moved on with someone else, or what a much better job I have, or whatever. But they're the same person. They still haven't learned these lessons in life. And they might refuse to, because they're happy living their life this way for some reason, right? Because if it's more about them or the world, that's how they like living life. More about themselves or the world. But there's always going to be other people in their life who harness this energy in a more high vibrational way, which then is that more hopeful, believing, loving spirit, hoping that other people will learn lessons, that people will work through their fear and their insecurities, and eventually those people see the truth. I've been offering you love and encouragement to detach from some of these old ways of being, to move forward in a way that would be victorious and worth defending. And eventually the high vibe people they hadn't wanted to see the truth, but eventually, we have to look at why am I so wanting those people? What is it within me? Do I let people who I love keep manipulating me? Well, that's not nice. People who love me shouldn't use the love that I have for them to manipulate me. How in my own more shadowy nature and worldly nature and materialistically nature, how much does that drive me to kind of want to keep staying in the relationship, or just fear of detaching and moving forward in my life? High vibe Virgo being more independent. High vibe Pisces being more independent. I would have to walk the talk. High vibe Taurus. I would have to practice what I preach. I would have to stand up for what I believe in. And trust and believe that the divine has a plan for my life. But I might be, my humanness, I'm kind of would like these things to work, and there might be, the stability and the security and the codependency of my own that keeps me wanting to stay in it. And eventually high vibe people work through all of that. I don't like any of those things manipulating me. And I need to deal with the truth. The truth is, how you want to move forward, how I want to move forward is different. What drives and motivates us is different. And I wish you peace, but we're not moving forward in the same way. We're not motivated and inspired by the same things. And when people act in a more worldly, shadowy way, shadowy Taurus can be kind of stubborn, unwilling to budge, unwilling to change, unwilling to be a student of life, to learn lessons, get out of your ego, to admit maybe I could benefit by maybe looking at things differently. High vibe Pisces, maybe trying to see things from another perspective. And eventually they have high vibe people who distance themselves from them. And then the kind of more worldly, shadowy people is like, I don't want to live my life like that. That's not my truth. I'm going to go find someone else who is more on the same page as me. And it's just like people are just on, like in tarot, they talk about being on different timelines, just different emotional maturity levels, different aspirations, different dreams. And, by having all these different people in the world, they have the free will to live their life the way they want. Other people look at the different people in the world and how they're living their life. And then those people can kind of decide, do I think that seems to be how I want to live my life? How about, high vibe energy is being more independent and being a good leader in the world. And high vibe Taurus is being a good spiritual leader in the world, walking the talk, not creating an illusion, not staying in situations that are more shadowy because of our fear and our insecurity, but adhering to a higher truth and justice. If behind the scenes, I know the truth of what goes on behind the scenes, not everybody else who kind of knows people in the world knows how some people really can be kind of more behind the scenes. I do know, and if I know that they're being more shadowy instead of more just or fair or authentic or loving, then I adhere to a higher truth and justice. I am not so attached to the world in a more shadowy Taurus energy that I let the world tell me, no, that would be unjust and unfair. You should keep maintaining the illusion. That's the most important thing. And to have this certain status and image, it's like, no, I'm not willing to. I adhere to a higher truth and justice. And I feel it's unjust, unfair, manipulative. And I'm willing to detach from that to live my truth. And the other people will probably keep repeating this old pattern because those things still manipulate them. Still more emotionally invested in the world, unwilling to detach from the world. But if they get in a relationship with people who are more on the same page as them, well, that's just and fair. There's two people that are more about the world. That's how they want to move forward, or they're both more immature or more self-indulgent or whatever. That's a more just and fair relationship. They're on the same page. What's unjust and unfair is someone who knows that they are trying to confuse people about the truth of who they are, that know other people are more motivated and inspired by truth and love, and they try to create the illusion that that's also their truth, but it's not. Well, that's an injustice. And if they keep trying to do that, they'll probably kind of get in a relationship with someone who's just like them. Someone who creates the illusion that they are more high vibe. This person will try to get in a relationship with them, thinking then they'll be in a relationship with this loving, nurturing person who's inspired by love, is self-disciplined, and isn't petty and envious and jealous. And by the time they find out the truth, that that person isn't who they say they are, there's always bigger fish in the sea looking for someone just like them. And then they'll really kind of be trapped also, because they might like to leave, but those things of the world really do manipulate them. So if they thought it was just and fair to try to manipulate people and kind of trap people in a relationship using these things of the world, they will be the one who is trapped. And it'll be really hard, and they might not get out of it, and they will be willing to hide that it is more of an illusion and that they maybe really would like to walk away. But because of their fear of being single, or these things of the world have such a stranglehold on them, they will not be living their truth, and their love for the world will have trapped them. So there you go, Taurus energy. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.